Adolf Hitler, Joseph Stalin, Pol Pot. Three cruelest dictators in history. Adolf Hitler was born in Braunau am Inn, Austria, on April 20th, 1889. He was the fourth of 6 children born to Alois Hitler and Clara Pölzl. Alois was a minor customs official, and Clara was a homemaker. Hitler had a difficult childhood. His father was strict and demanding, and his mother was overprotective. He also had a troubled relationship with his younger sister, Paula. In 1898, Hitler's father died, and his mother moved the family to Passau, Germany. Hitler attended elementary school in Passau, but he was not a good student. He was more interested in art and history than in academics. In 1905, Hitler failed the entrance exam for the Vienna Academy of Fine Arts. He was devastated, and he returned to Linz, Austria, where he lived with his mother. Hitler spent the next few years drifting from job to job. He worked as a watercolorist, a draftsman, and a laborer. He also began to develop his political ideas. He was influenced by the anti-Semitic and nationalist writings of the time. In 1913, Hitler moved to Munich, Germany. He was drafted into the German army in 1914, and he fought in World War I. He was wounded in action several times, and he received 2 Iron Crosses for his bravery. After the war, Hitler returned to Munich. He became involved in politics, and he joined the Nazi Party in 1919. The Nazi Party was a small, extremist party at the time, but Hitler quickly rose through the ranks. He was a charismatic leader, and he was able to attract a large following. In 1923, Hitler led the Munich beer hall putsch, an attempt to overthrow the German government. The putsch failed, and Hitler was sentenced to 5 years in prison. He only served 9 months, and he used his time in prison to write his book, Mein Kampf, My Struggle. In Mein Kampf, Hitler outlined his political and racial ideology. He believed that the Aryan race was superior to all other races, and he advocated for the expansion of German territory into Eastern Europe. He also called for the extermination of the Jews. After his release from prison, Hitler continued to build the Nazi Party. He promised to restore Germany to its former greatness, and he capitalized on the economic and political instability of the time. In 1933, Hitler was appointed Chancellor of Germany. Hitler quickly consolidated his power. He banned all opposition parties, and he established a dictatorship. He also began to implement his racist policy. In 1935, he passed the Nuremberg Laws, which deprived Jews of their citizenship and their basic rights. In 1939, Hitler invaded Poland, which started World War II. The war was a disaster for Germany, and Hitler was eventually defeated. He committed suicide on April 30th, 1945, as the Allies were closing in on Berlin. Adolf Hitler was one of the most destructive figures in history. He was responsible for the deaths of millions of people, and he caused untold suffering. His legacy is one of hate and destruction. Joseph Stalin was born in Gori, Georgia in 1878. He was raised in poverty and became involved in revolutionary politics at a young age. In 1901, he joined the Russian Social Democratic Labor Party, which later became the Communist Party. Stalin quickly rose through the ranks of the Communist Party. He was a skilled organizer and strategist, and he was loyal to the party's ideology. In 1917, he helped lead the Bolshevik Revolution, which overthrew the Russian monarchy. After the revolution, Stalin became General Secretary of the Communist Party. This position gave him control over the party and the Soviet government. Under Stalin's leadership, the Soviet Union underwent rapid industrialization and collectivization. Industrialization was the process of converting a country's economy from agriculture to manufacturing. Collectivization was the process of consolidating individual farms into large state-owned farms. Stalin's policies were highly successful in terms of economic growth. However, they also led to widespread repression and famine. During World War II, Germany invaded the Soviet Union in 1941. Stalin led the Soviet Union to victory in the war, which was a major turning point in the war. After After the war, Stalin continued to rule the Soviet Union with an iron fist. He suppressed dissent and imprisoned or executed political opponents. He also oversaw a period of economic stagnation. Stalin died in 1953. His death led to a period of liberalization in the Soviet Union. Stalin is a controversial figure. He is credited with leading the Soviet Union to victory in World War II and with transforming the country into a major industrial power. However, he is also criticized for his repressive policies and for the millions of people who died under his rule. Pol Pot was born Saloth Sar in 1925 in Kampong Thom, Cambodia. He grew up in a farming family and was involved in communist politics from a young age. In 1949, he went to France to study engineering, where he became a member of the French Communist Party. In 1960, Pol Pot returned to Cambodia and founded the Khmer Rouge, which was dedicated to overthrowing the Cambodian government. In 1975, the Khmer Rouge took over Cambodia and immediately began implementing radical plans to turn the country into a communist utopia. The Khmer Rouge regime was a totalitarian dictatorship that ruled by fear and violence. Pol Pot and his followers forced all citizens to work in labor camps and executed those who were deemed to be enemies of the state. They also destroyed all religious and cultural institutions and banned all forms of education and entertainment. The Khmer Rouge regime's policies led to the deaths of an estimated 1.5 to 2.2 million people, or about a quarter of the Cambodian population. The victims included intellectuals, religious leaders, ethnic minorities, and anyone who was considered to be a threat to the regime. In 1979, Vietnam invaded Cambodia and overthrew the Khmer Rouge regime. Pol Pot and his followers fled to the jungles of western Cambodia, where they continued to fight against the Vietnamese-backed government until 1998. Pol Pot died in 1998 at the age of 73. He was never brought to justice for his crimes. Pol Pot's regime was one of the most brutal and repressive in history. His legacy is one of genocide, mass murder, and destruction.